Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into the world of Jira to build the ultimate guide for project admins. We're going to turn that complex web of project setup into a really clear, actionable journey, from your very first click all the way to your final report.
Okay, let's just jump right in, because this first choice you make in Jira, it literally sets the stage for everything that follows. This one decision determines how much control you have, how much your team can do on their own, and, how your project fits into the bigger picture of your entire company. And that choice, it really just boils down to two very different paths you can go down. You can create a team-managed project, or you can create a company-managed project. Each one has its own philosophy, and picking the right one for your team and what they need, well, that's everything.
So here's the deal. Team-managed projects are all about autonomy. As a project admin, you get to configure workflows, add fields, manage all the roles. You can do it all yourself. It's basically your own little sandbox. On the flip side, you have company-managed projects, which are all about standardization. They use these shared configurations that, and this is key, require a Jira admin to make changes. This makes them super powerful, but definitely less flexible for a single team.
This right here is the secret sauce of company-managed projects, schemes. You could just think of them as reusable templates for, well, everything. Workflows, permissions, you name it. Understanding schemes is kind of like seeing the matrix in Jira. You see how it's all connected. But remember, as a project admin, you can't create or change these schemes. Your job is to know what's possible, so you can go to your Jira admin and clearly explain what you need.
Okay, so we've picked our project type. Now we get to the fun part, architecting the process itself. We're setting the rules of the road for how work actually gets done. This is that critical step where we translate how a team really works into a clear digital workflow.
A workflow isn't just some diagram with boxes and arrows. It's the absolute heartbeat of your project. It's a shared agreement, a promise on how your team moves work from to-do all the way to done. A well-designed workflow brings so much clarity, it prevents things from getting lost, and it just makes your team's process visible to everyone.
Listen to this. This is the golden rule, especially if you're in a company-managed project. Why? Because statuses are global. If you decide to rename a status like backlog to something clever, you're not just changing it for your project. No, you're changing it for every single project in the entire Jira instance that uses it. Always create a new status instead. Trust me, this is one of those mistakes you do not want to make.
So any workflow is really just built from three core pieces. First, you've got statuses. These are the nouns, the resting states like in progress. Then you have transitions, which are the verbs, the actions that move the work between statuses. And finally, there's the magic, functions and validators. These are things that automate tasks, like maybe setting a field automatically or making sure info is complete before work can move forward.
So, we've designed the logic, the brains of our process. But where does the team actually see it all? Where do they interact with it? Well, that all happens on the board. The board is the main arena for your team's collaboration. It's where that workflow you designed really comes to life.
Right, so this is where that abstract workflow becomes a real, tangible, interactive space. Each and every column on your Kanban or Scrum board maps directly to one or more statuses from your workflow. So when you drag a card from one column to another, you're actually triggering a workflow transition in the background. It's just the most intuitive way for the team to interact with the process you designed. Let's be honest, a busy board can get chaotic fast. Swimlanes are what bring order to that chaos by grouping related issues into these nice horizontal lanes. So, for example, imagine you need to quickly see what each person on your team is working on. Instead of scanning the whole board, you just turn on the assignee swim lane, and bam, you can instantly see who's working on what. It's a simple but really powerful way to cut through all the noise.
I love this quote because it perfectly captures such a common problem. A backlog isn't meant to be a dumping ground for every single idea anyone has ever had. It's supposed to be a prioritized, living list of what's coming up next. An overgrown backlog just becomes impossible to manage, and it makes planning a nightmare. The goal is always to keep it clean, keep it prioritized, and keep it actionable. All right, we've set up our process, we've visualized it on the board. Now it's time for the pro move. It's time to make Jira work for us. Automation is the absolute key to enforcing consistency, boosting efficiency, and just getting rid of all those tedious manual tasks that slow teams down.
Every single automation rule, it doesn't matter how complex it seems, is built from these three simple parts:
You've got a trigger, which is what starts the rule, like when an issue is created. You've got a condition, which is like a checkpoint if the priority is highest. And then you've got an action. Then send a Slack message to the support channel. Just understanding the simple if this then that structure is the key to unlocking its power.
And look, this isn't just about saving a few clicks here and there. It's about building quality and predictability right into your workflow. Imagine automatically assigning new bugs to the QA lead, or automatically closing a parent task when all its subtasks are finally done. These rules make sure the process is followed every single time without fail, which frees up your team to focus on the actual work.
So, you've set up your project, you've defined the process, you've even automated the busy work. The final step in this whole journey is to turn all of that data your team is generating into real, actionable insights that drive decisions.
Oh, this is such a classic rookie mistake. You spend hours, right? You create the perfect dashboard with all these beautiful gadgets. You share the link with your manager, and all they see are a bunch of empty boxes. Why? Because sharing the dashboard just isn't enough.
And here's the solution. It's so critical. Every single gadget on your dashboard is powered by a filter. If that filter is private, just for you, nobody else can see the data. You have to share both the dashboard itself and each of the underlying filters that power it. It's a two-step process that honestly trips up a lot of people.
Now, Jira comes packed with some really powerful reports. First, there's the velocity chart, which helps you understand your team's capacity and consistency from one sprint to the next. Then, there's the epic burndown, which is essential for forecasting when a big feature will actually be finished. And a personal favorite of mine is the two-dimensional gadget, which basically lets you build a pivot table right on your dashboard. It's perfect for seeing who has what work in which status all at a glance.
You know, becoming a true Jira master isn't about some secret trick. It's all about building disciplined habits. You've got to master the Jira Query Language, or JQL, to build powerful, laser-focused filters. You should always have a sandbox project where you can test changes before they go live. And remember to keep your workflows as simple as you possibly can, because complexity is the enemy of adoption.
Because at the end of the day, Jira is just a tool. A powerful one for sure, but still just a tool. You've expertly configured the machine, but your real superpower as a project admin is using that machine to remove friction, provide clarity, and empower your team to do their absolute best work. That's the real journey.